Okay, continue where we left off 2 days ago. So, on Rosh Chodesh, there's also the Davin called Musaf. It's an additional tefillah. Okay, now what happens when Rosh Chodesh falls out on Shabbos? So in the Shabbos davening, you add Yalav V'Yava, you have Halo, Barchinavshi, and all that. But the Musaf for Shabbos Rosh Chodesh is a separate Musaf. That you have the sacrifices of Rosh Chodesh and of Shabbos. So normally during the week Rosh Chodesh we have one type of Musaf. Shabbos Rosh Chodesh there's a special unique type of Musaf.
Why do you say Barchinavshi on Rosh Chodesh?
Because it speaks about Tizrach HaShemesh Seifun. It speaks about the planets, the orbit, which has to do with the Chodesh, the whole cycle of the planets. That's what the Mefarshim explain. Okay, so then you have two Sefer Torahs. One Sefer Torah you read the weekly portion, whatever that is. Second Sefer Torah you read the last aliyah from after, you read Rosh Chodesh. Now because you ended off with Rosh Chodesh, so therefore, the Haftarah is also Rosh Chodesh. Not the Haftarah of the week, but the Haftarah of Rosh Chodesh. For those people that do, like we learn Shnai Mikveh Echad Targum, you read the Chumash twice with the Unkelis. So when they do that, you're also supposed to read the Haftarah of the week. So if it's Shabbos Rosh Chodesh, where you're only reading one Haftarah, when you do Maver Sedra, when you do the reading twice, so then you do both Haftarahs. You do the Haftarah of the week that we don't say, and the Haftarah that we're going to be saying on Rosh Chodesh. So publicly you only read one Haftarah. Now if it's Rosh Chodesh and Shabbos, let's say Rosh Chodesh is Shabbos and Sunday, so then not only do you have that Haftarah Shabbos Rosh Chodesh, you have Machar Chodesh. Because normally if Rosh Chodesh is Sunday, the Haftarah is Machar Chodesh. But you have Shabbos Rosh Chodesh. So we say Hashemayim Kisi, which is Haftarah Shabbos Rosh Chodesh. And then we have the first and last pasuk of Machar Chodesh. So we don't read both Haftarahs. We just read one of the two Haftarahs with the first and last pasuk. Now sometimes, there's a few times a year, 3 times a year possibly, that you can take out 3 Sefer Torahs on Shabbos. Normally the only time you take out 3 Sefer Torahs is on Simchas Torah. But there's 3 possibilities during the year that is possible that you have to take out 3 Sefer Torahs. When Chanukah, Rosh Chodesh, falls out on Shabbos, Rosh Chodesh Tevis, so you have the Kriya of the week, plus Rosh Chodesh, plus Chanukah. When Rosh Chodesh Adar falls out on Shabbos, so then you have the week, then you have Rosh Chodesh, you have Parsha Shkolim. And then you have the third possibility is when Rosh Chodesh Nisan falls out on Shabbos. So then you have again Parsha of the week, Rosh Chodesh, and Parshas HaChodesh. So these are the 3 times a year it's possible to take out 3 Sefer Torahs. Otherwise it's only Simchas Torah. And even then there's a very interesting halacha. What happens if you need 3 Sefer Torahs but you only have 2? The shul only has 2 Sefer Torahs, let's say. So which one do you roll back for the third one? So the halacha is, you roll the first one to the third aliyah. You don't roll the second to the third, you roll the first to the third. That's the halacha. Even Simchas Torah says that, that's with the source of it. Ramon Simchas Torah says that if Simchas Torah you need 3 Sefer Torahs, so then you do that. If you have to roll one, you roll the first one, not the second one.
2 brothers, 2 separate Torahs.
So the din is like this. 2 brothers are not allowed to get called up one after another. Father and son are not allowed to get called up one after another. Paternal grandfather and grandson also not. That means if you have father, son, grandson, you cannot call up the grandfather and then the grandson. Okay? But if it's maternal grandson, that means it's your daughter's son, then you can call up the grandfather and then the grandson. So if it's the grandfather's son, you can't call him up right after the grandfather. But if it's a daughter's son, then you could. Okay? But another, but if there's two Sefer Torahs, let's say you have Rosh Chodesh, so you have one Sefer Torah, you read 7 aliyahs. So then you could give Shvi to, let's say, one brother, and Maftir to the next brother. Or if you have 3 Sefer Torahs, then you read from Shishi to the end, so then you have Shvi in the second Sefer Torah, Maftir in the third Sefer Torah. So if it's a separate Sefer Torah, then you could call up a father, son, 2 brothers, and that whole thing. It's basically, you should know, the reason for that is ayin hara. That's the reason it says in halacha. Why don't you call a father and a son, or 2 brothers, or a paternal grandson? The reason is it's ayin hara, 2 family members in a row. Even it says in halacha, what happens? The guy, I don't care about ayin hara. So call me up. Halacha is you still can't. What? No, because it's not a son's son. There's a difference between a daughter's son and a son's son. That's the difference in ayin hara. Yeah. What? Not that you don't believe in it. There is a concept in Torah called ayin hara. Okay? If you don't believe that it's going to hurt you, it's not going to hurt you. But there are things in halacha that says in halacha you're not allowed to do because of ayin hara, and this is one of them. Okay, you don't say Avei Rachamim and Rosh Chodesh Shabbos because it's a Yom Tov. By Mincha you don't say Tzikoscha. When you have a meal, let's say Shabbos is Rosh Chodesh, so Friday night by benching you say Ritzei and Yalav V'Yavei. First Ritzei and then Yalav V'Yavei. Or even on the Chag, on the Yom Tov, you say first Ritzei and then Yalav V'Yavei. Why do you say Ritzei first and then Yalav V'Yavei? Very simple reason. We learned already the rule, Tadeh V'Sheina, Tadeh, more common, less common. The more common goes first. Ritzei you say every Shabbos. Yalav V'Yavei you say once a month on Rosh Chodesh or Yom Tov, whatever. So, bottom line is Ritzei comes first. Okay, next with that. What? Okay, that's that. Now some customs of Rosh Chodesh that are very interesting customs. From Rabbi Yehuda Chassid, the great Rabbi Yehuda Chassid who lived in the time of the Rishonim. He's a very holy man. It said there was Ruach HaKodesh in his Beis Medrash. They say about him, if he would have lived in the time of the Amiroim of the Gemara, he would have been one of them. If he lived in the time of Tanoim, he would be one of them. If we live in the time of the prophets, he would be one of them. This Rabbi Yehuda Chassid. So there's a lot of things Rabbi Yehuda Chassid wrote. Some things, he wrote what's called Savos Rabbi Yehuda Chassid. He wrote a sefer called Sefer Chassidim. And then he wrote what's called Savos Rabbi Yehuda Chassid. It's in the book of Sefer Chassidim. He wrote a will for his children. Okay, things that they could and can't do. So there are opinions in halacha that say the will was only for his kids, not for everybody else. Other people say no, he wrote it for a lot of people too. And what's interesting, a lot of things Rabbi Yehuda Chassid we keep, and a lot of things of Savas Rabbi Yehuda Chassid we don't keep. There are certain things that you just universally accepted. I'll give you some examples of that. As far as this goes. Number one, Rabbi Yehuda Chassid says you should not take a haircut on Rosh Chodesh. You should not take a haircut on Rosh Chodesh. In Shulchan Aruch it says, even if it's Erev Shabbos, even if Rosh Chodesh is Friday and it's a mitzvah to take a haircut for Shabbos, but if it's Rosh Chodesh, the Alter Rebbe says you don't do it because it's sakana. Rabbi Yehuda Chassid said, what it means, I don't know. But if you take a haircut on Rosh Chodesh, it's sakana. What's interesting, Rabbi Yehuda Chassid really writes, you're not allowed to cut your nails on Rosh Chodesh for sakana. That din in Hilchos Shabbos, the Alter Rebbe did not bring down. He just speaks about taking haircuts. About cutting nails, he doesn't mention. So there's a lot of people explaining that hair you could cut on Thursday. But nails, you can't, many people don't cut their nails on Thursday because then it begins to grow on Shabbos. Even though it's not forbidden, it's just a custom. So anyway, there's a lot of reasons that the bottom line is, on Rosh Chodesh you don't cut your nails. But if Rosh Chodesh is Friday, then you could cut your nails for Shabbos. But haircuts, you don't take on Rosh Chodesh. I'll give you another example. Rabbi Yosef writes that, again, some people keep it, some people don't. You shouldn't shine your shoes the day you go on a journey. The day you go on a trip, you shouldn't shine your shoes. Another thing he says is, you shouldn't have a father-in-law and a son-in-law with the same name. You shouldn't have a mother-in-law and a daughter-in-law with the same name. Now, if they have two names and one has one different, so then it doesn't matter. But if the exact, and not only that, he writes even more, that two mechutanim, the son marries the daughter, the two fathers should also not have the same name. It's a big problematic, because in fact I have a mechutan that has the same name as me, Yosef Yitzchak, but it says in Rabbi Yosef, if one's a Levi or one's not, or one's a Kohen or one's not, it doesn't matter. So I'm a Levi, he's not, so it doesn't matter. But there's a lot of cases, there's a lot of times, especially in Chabad, you can have a father, Menachem Mendel, and his daughter is marrying a boy, Menachem Mendel. So what do? So there's a lot of answers in the Rebbe about this, that what you do is one of them add a name. One of them adds a name. So usually, it's interesting, usually the son-in-law, the additional guy will add a name. Okay, out of why should the father-in-law, not the son-in-law. Or if it's a mother-in-law with a daughter-in-law, the daughter-in-law will add a name. But sometimes it's unrealistic. It happened, this guy calls me, his name is Menachem Mendel, and his daughter was getting married to his Menachem Mendel. But he has a bunch of daughters. He said to me, I'm going to change my name. Add a name. Why? Because it's very probable I'll have another Menachem Mendel, son-in-law. So why should we all change names? Why should we all change names? No, he was right. He added a name to himself. But like this, it's possible in Chabad you can have a mother Chaya Mushka and a kid Chaya Mushka, or Chana and Chana. So what do? One of them adds a name. But if one's a common possibility, like you can have 5 Menachem Mendels, the sons-in-law, then it makes more sense for the father-in-law to add a name than the son. What did you want?
It's okay.
What?
No, it's okay.
Okay. So bottom line is, when Rosh Chodesh we don't cut hair and nails. When Rosh Chodesh is Friday, we don't cut our hair, but we cut our nails. Even, let's say a kid, when he comes up Sherinish, the third birthday, that we wait to cut the hair. If it's Rosh Chodesh, you don't cut the hair. You push it off a day, for the day after Rosh Chodesh to make, the kid's born Rosh Chodesh, right? So you don't make the up Sherinish Rosh Chodesh, you postpone it for another day. What?
Not cutting your toenails and hands is the same for the...
No, that's Badan Shechunah. Yes, again, it's not the Birachos. Okay, now we do Al Yisrael. Machat Shin Yisrael, Ma'aseh Ma'amach Ve'evel Ma'in Kim Shevala Gal Teira.